Welcome back to the Hair Lounge. Today we're talking all about face framing layers and I'm going to show you how to do it. Stay tuned and we'll get right into it. Here is our lovely assistant Mandy, and I'll tell you, before you start, you do want to make sure you are parting correctly. So for hers, like you guys have always seen, she parts her hair down the middle. If you do part your hair on the side or you do like a side swoop bang, just part it the way that you normally wear your hair. If you do alternate between each side, then you are going to want to make sure that you do it down the middle. That way you can switch still. So I will tell you, you're gonna need a comb and some scissors, a spray bottle. You can do this on dry hair, but if you do not have your scissors that are super sharp, you probably need to make sure you spray the hair. My scissors are sharp, but I'm gonna show you both ways. Remember, as always, wet hair does shrink up, so be more conservative. The biggest thing you want to remember when you are doing face framing layers is you want to make sure you have a starting point. So depending on if you want the layers to start cheekbone or chin level, remember, if you or anybody else wears their hair back, you want to make sure that that hair is still going to go in a ponytail. So if she wears her ponytail lower, about here, I do not want that layer to be shorter than her chin, because then she will not be able to get her hair back into a ponytail. So that's where we are going to start. Depending on your thickness, you're gonna want to take smaller sections, but for hers, her hair isn't super thick, so I'm going to take roughly about a 1/2 inch from her front section all the way to her ear, and then I'm gonna just clip the rest of this back. So you want to do a technique called slide cutting. That's why it's very important to have super sharp scissors, because you're going to be sliding all the way down this hair. Again, as always, be very conservative before you actually do this, because you can always go back and take more off. So she wants it to be chin length, so we're gonna put our finger right at the chin. You do not wanna cut back into this section. If you cut back into this section, you're going to get a big chunk up in front. So you want to start just on the outer surface of your section, this very front piece. Do not cut back into the hair unless you want the face framing layers to be super far into the haircut. Okay, so let's start. We're gonna start at the chin level. When you are holding the hair, do not pull it super tight, because what happens if you have body in your hair and you let go of it, it's going to be, you know, 1/4 of an inch or even sometimes a 1/2 inch shorter. So make sure you just comb it straight down and just hold on to it very lightly. Like I had told you, go on that front section of the hair, and we are going to open and close our scissors while we're sliding down the hair. See, I did not take a whole lot off. And as you can see, her front section on her hair, that's where the start of those face framing layers are gonna be. Now we're going to just continue this down into the rest of her hair. Here's my guide. That is the shorter section. So that guide is going to be where I start the rest of the hair. And this is just gonna slide all the way down that hair shaft. Okay, so I got a cape, a white cape, so it's a little bit easier to see on camera. So you guys can really see the technique with the white background and her super dark hair. Okay, so there is my guide, the very first cut that I had trimmed. Now we're just going to keep continuing down this section. As you can see, I am only doing it on this very front section of her hair. I'm not taking it super far back into that actual section. So you can see the shape is already starting. It's just gradually going down into the length of her hair. It's all about really kind of connecting the dots. This would be our first dot, and you just make sure you're just taking it all the way down into the rest of that hair. Just like that. So as you can see, it gradually goes from shorter into longer, and then I'm going to let the rest of that section down. And then what I'm going to do is, if any hair falls into that front section of those face framing layers, I'm going to trim that. So as you can see on her hair, she has a few longer pieces in there that needs to be trimmed. Right through there. Now we are going to trim that. There's that very long piece. I'll show you again when I hold it out. Here's the short layer, and then you can really see that super long hair in there. And we are just going to even that out. So now she has super pretty face framing layers that are super soft and subtle, and now we just need to even it out on her other side. So I always suggest, when you are starting to do the other side, I like to take kind of the widow's peak, or that front section, and that is how I'm going to get my guideline for the right side. I'm gonna comb this down, and there is that guideline. You can see the shorter hairs right there, and then there is the right side. So we're going to trim that. So that way it will match on both sides. Now we're going to take it on over to this side. There's that guide that we had just trimmed, those shorter pieces right there, and we are going to trim it on this right side. And we'll spray her a little bit. Doing exactly the same thing, getting about 1/2 inch in front of the ear. And this will really help so you do not get too confused when you're cutting the layers in there, and you don't end up grabbing too much of this back, and then you get kind of the mullet look. I'm Joe Dirt! Which mullets are back in, but that's not what you're going for. You definitely don't want to accidentally cut your hair into a mullet. Okay, so here is that front shorter section. And we are just going to slide on down into the rest of the hair. Taking our scissors and just sliding it down. There is that front section right there. Just sliding it down into the rest of her hair. Then what I like to do is I like to face them forward, and I will check. So you just hold the hair and you just make sure that those sides are even and you don't have any weird long pieces, or like at the chin, the length is the same on both sides. Side's a little long by her chin, so we are going to do our face framing layers just a tiny bit more right on that right side. Okay, and then we are going to let down that hair on the right side and double check to see if there's any hair that falls forward that might potentially be too long. No, there's just a few little pieces towards that front. Just like that. So there is our face framing layers. Shorter by her face, and then it gradually blends into her haircut. Okay, now what I'll do is I will style her, sit in my chair so you guys can get a better view, and I'll be right back. All right, you guys ready to see the final look with me flat ironing it? So there you go. You can see all those layers right by her face and just blended into the rest of her hair. Turn her this way. So you can see we started it at her chin, and then it just slowly blends into the rest of her haircut. So she has super pretty, soft, feathery layers right around her face, And then when she curls it, it'll blend super, super nicely into the rest of her hair. So this is great for someone if they do not like hair on their face, or if they feel like they need to open up their face and kind of show off their cheekbones a little bit more, or their jawline. Face framing layers are perfect for that, and it's great because you can customize it to your hair type, your hair texture, or how you wear your hair. By leaving the layers a little bit longer, you can still pull it up into a ponytail. So I hope you guys enjoyed this latest video on how to do face framing layers on yourself, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.